I see old houses. I'm like, how did they? I also wonder how they fucking get the dirt roads. How do they do that? You should know, shouldn't you?
No.
Is that not your job? Okay.
No.
Hey, it's Lindsay and Kylie with Orb Paranormal, and we're here to talk to you today about
the Eureka Baby.
I've never even heard of this shit. So I don't know. I don't even know how to react.
I hadn't either, even though I work in Eureka Springs, I hadn't heard about the Eureka Baby until I started researching. But our drink today is the Eureka Baby, and it is a baby pink drink made with Old Tennessee salty caramel whiskey, Grenadine, Rocktown bourbon cream liquor, and Rocktown is a Arkansas distillery that we use quite frequently, and then milk. So,
Yep, that's good. It pretty much tastes like a...
It tastes like a milkshake.
Ooh. With caramel. A caramel milkshake.
This might be my favorite.
It's up there. It is up there. So,
we're just gonna jump right in. We need a little bit of history on Eureka Springs. So, Eureka Springs.
Hot mess.
Yes. It is located in Carroll County, which is in the northwest Arkansas region.
Of Arkansas?
Of Arkansas. In Arkansas.
Of Arkansas. We are Arkansas.
So the area has been occupied for thousands of years by Paleo Indians, and more recently was the hunting grounds of the Osage Nation. But the Osage Nation lived here, but then the U.S. government came in and forcibly removed them in 1825, and the land was opened for white settlement. Dr. Alva Jackson was one of the early settlers in Eureka Springs, and he reportedly discovered the magical springs and their healing properties. And he actually would use the caves and springs in the area to heal soldiers who were wounded during the Civil War. And he began marketing this spring water. He would bottle it up.
What did he do with it on them?
He was just like,
bless you, child.
I think they would maybe drink it, or his
that would make
specific claim to fame was Dr. Jackson's eye water.
Well, I didn't know if there was a compress or
I think
some herbs.
I think they kind of used it all different kinds of ways.
Okay.
Drinking it,
just thought I'd ask.
hanging out in it,
we're just hanging,
putting it in your eyes,
hanging out with their wangs out.
Who can say? Yep, I'm sure they did that too. And in 1879, Dr. Jackson invited Berryville's Judge Levi Saunders to visit the healing springs. And somehow, miraculously, the judge had some kind of weird skin condition and he was healed. Judge Saunders was super into this and actually ended up setting up a camp in Eureka Springs, and he eventually, by July of that same year in 1879, had built his own house. And that was the first house built in Eureka Springs. They were getting more infrastructure. They had a general store, boarding houses, and small homes were popping up around town. And by 1880, the population was just under 4,000. So, for reference, the population of Eureka Springs currently, as of the 2020 census, was just over 2,000. So, it's a lot smaller than it was in 1880. And thousands more were visiting.
What did you say 1880 was?
1880 was just under 4,000.
Holy shit.
The folks that were coming here because it was a resort town. They wanted to hang out. A lot of them were considered invalids or ill, and they were coming to Eureka Springs to try to heal some sickness. Which brings us to J.B. Hallam, who was a Texan who also came up to the Eureka Springs area, and he was one of the new residents in the
So this has been going back that long.
Yeah.
They've been coming here.
Yeah, so we're deep in the history right now.
Going deep into history.
Hallam moved into the Peebles Edition in Eureka Springs and found that it was really freaking hard to establish a home in the super mountainous area. So J.B. Hallam comes up from Texas and he finds that it's really difficult to establish his home. You had to cut down trees and cut stone or purchase it.
Oh, yeah.
Clear wherever you decided to build your house. And
Like you physically had to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, but...
Well, or pay some of the, like, eventually there would be improvement companies, the Eureka Springs Improvement Company, where you could, like, hire out young strapping men to come build your house for you.
Need those.
But at this time, I'm assuming that a lot of these people were either doing most of the work themselves or hiring, like maybe getting the raw materials. Maybe they were hiring that out, so buying it. And Hallam did hire a young man named Thomas Campbell to assist him with digging his well. And on October 1st, 1880, Thomas was busily digging this well. He had just gotten back from taking off a few days because apparently he wasn't feeling very well. But this day back to work was actually pretty short-lived for him. He had made it 4 feet into the super rocky soil when he struck a large lump of what looked like hard clay. And being, I guess, a curious young lad, he reached down to figure out what he had hit. And when the corner of this clay mound broke off, he saw a small human leg.
What?
Which is terrifying.
It is terrifying, but that's what I'm here for.
As anyone would do, he calls in some of his friends. He calls in 3 other men to help him.
Did he call the police?
No. There probably wasn't even police here. So he calls his friends to help him finish digging out this mysterious item. And it turned out to be an 85-pound human child made of stone. And they believed it was fossilized. So as you can imagine, this caused quite a stir.
I think I'm confused. If it's if they think it's a real kid?
Yes.
But it's in stone?
Yes. They think it's a fossilized person.
Has that ever happened? Have we had fossilized people?
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All right.
Storytelling. Obviously, this kind of rocked people's worlds.
Yes, rocking mine right now.
I know. You have a bunch of people living in Eureka Springs at this time that had just moved here. You have all of these people coming to visit.
I can't imagine any more people living there now than there are.
They're stacked up.
Under 4,000 people. That's a lot of fucking people there.
And that wasn't even the peak of the population.
They didn't even have motorcycles then, thank God.
No, like they had nothing. And
now that's all they fucking have.
And they were bored. And I think that played into a lot of why people were all of a sudden super interested in this baby.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
They have nothing else going on.
No.
So they start exhibiting the baby throughout town. And Hallam, who's the guy that...
This thing was 85 pounds.
85 pounds, yeah.
They're calling it a baby.
Well, I'm assuming what they mean is it's like the whole thing. It's like a rock. Like when you have a dinosaur fossil and you have like the whole freaking rock and you have to like get the whole rock out, but it's only on the top maybe. There are allegedly pictures of this thing, but I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that the child itself was 85 pounds, but it's a child turned to stone.
So it
weighs
in the
more.
state that it's now is 85 pounds?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Didn't realize that. Okay.
Sorry.
Clarification. I'm good, thank you.
So they're exhibiting the baby. Hallam, who is the landowner, Campbell, who's the guy that dug the well, Thomas Campbell, and this new guy, Henry Johnson. Apparently, he bought a share in the baby's ownership, and that was his in. And those 3 together, guess what they did? Charge people.
Seems to be a trend here in Arkansas.
Yeah, not a quarter this time, but just 10 cents.
How kind.
Yeah, well, they did later raise the rate to 35 cents.
Sounds right.
And apparently for a while, people were really intrigued by this. And
I mean, I kind of would be too.
I'm intrigued by
I would definitely pay attention to see it.
And we can see a lot about the public's reaction to this mysterious baby from newspapers. So many people thought that the Eureka Baby was an important missing link in human evolution. So
that is an interesting direction to go at that date.
Yeah, I like it. And this kind of surprised me. The Eureka Springs newspaper at this time thought that if the baby was real, the discovery would destroy the widely accepted theory that humans arrived in North America by crossing the Bering Strait land bridge. So that was that. Okay, so that's like in Alaska. So theoretically, during one of the ice ages, one of the ideas is that the ice was so far down that it created a passable area over the Bering Strait that connects like Siberia, Russia, or whatever to Alaska.
Remember that.
So people, come out of Africa, they go to Europe, some people go to Asia, and the people that went into Asia and Siberia go up and they cross the land bridge and then they come down into North America, which is why theoretically Paleo-Indian people and different Asian cultures have physical characteristics that are similar.
Okay, that I enjoyed what you just explained very much so, because
fascinating.
That is super fascinating to me, because you answered questions that I had that I didn't know how to ask.
Oh, there you go. They're thinking that this could rock human evolution.
Rockin' mine.
And it would also prove that man must have existed in North America at the same time as Adam, probably earlier, they said. So they're thinking that this is proving pre-Adam and Eve creation of humans, just because it was a fossilized human, which is something they've never seen. Yes. Which is pretty progressive, I think.
That's why I'm sitting here like, where are we? What story are we doing again?
Yeah, and this wasn't just in Eureka Springs where people were thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to change science and everything we think we know about people. A St. Louis newspaper actually argued that the discovery would revolutionize the field of geology, since, quote, the baby had been buried at least 1 billion years before the flood. And I'm assuming they're referencing the biblical flood.
With the ark?
Yeah.
I feel weird. I don't like this discussion.
We have a lot of things happening. We have deep time. We have 1 billion years. We have the flood combined.
How are they dating this? I've got legitimate questions. I need to talk to someone that knows this.
I think that they were just going off of the theory that the only other things they've seen that were fossilized were dinosaurs. If I dug up something, I'd be like, holy shit, it's a dinosaur.
If I fucking dug up a baby made of stone, I'd be like, fucking hell! I don't know. Today we would have much more like technology that would be able to like verify or make the dating a valid thing.
Yeah.
I just would like to know how they're dating it, based other than just, dinosaur stuff.
They're just making it up.
Okay.
And there were a few other theories that were proposed, one of them being a reporter from the Arkansas Gazette thought that the baby was an unfortunate remnant of a pre-Civil War era family. So this family apparently was living on the land where the baby was later found. And when this child died, it was buried without a coffin, and the family planned to move the body later. But when the war broke out, the dad had to join one of the armies. The family eventually moved on and either forgot the location of the burial or just never had the opportunity to come back. The writer referenced saponification. Are you familiar with this? I'm sure you had this at some point in mortuary school.
Okay, I gotta see the word.
Saponification.
Yes.
So the body's fat can turn into a really hard soap-like substance. And they referenced that as evidence of what had happened here, that it wasn't a super, super old fossilized baby, but it was a pre-Civil War era baby that's body fat had just hardened. And I did not know this, but I'm fascinated. Apparently, this had happened with the remains of a soldier who had been disinterred from a battlefield grave after the Fayetteville National Cemetery was created.
Cardiff Giant.
So we're taking an aside to talk about the Cardiff Giant. In 1869, so we're going back in time from 1880.
That's hard. Okay.
A petrified man was unearthed in Cardiff, New York. Workers discovered the stone giant when they were digging a well for, a giant, for a guy named William Newell. And obviously, as anyone would do, Newell decided, hey, I can make some money on this. And he charged visitors, classic, $0.25 to see the giant. The giant garnered such attention that showman P.T. Barnum, the homie, offered $50,000 in that day's money.
1869?
Crazy, madness.
Whoa.
I'll have to put a conversion.
How did they even get money back then?
Well,
who's doing what job back then to get that money?
Well, P.T. Barnum is a hustler. So he offers $50,000 and they shoot him down. They're not intrigued by that. But he's not giving up that easy. So he hires a man to sneak into wherever this Cardiff Giant is being kept. Housed. And he has this dude cover it with wax and essentially create like a mold. Okay. So then he... like a casting. Yeah, he creates a replica of this, and then he displays his copy and says that it's the real one and the real Cardiff Giant is the fake. So
that's fucking throwing a fucking loop for everyone.
Yeah.
You can't trust anyone now.
No, so this pisses off the guy that has the real Cardiff Giant, of course.
Well, yeah.
So he sues P.T. Barnum. And
that's serious.
Yeah. But soon the creator of the giant stepped forward and confesses everything to the press.
The original?
The original. The creator
of... Was there a fit?
No. George Hull is the guy that made the Cardiff Giant. And I kind of like this story. So he was an atheist, and he apparently got really pissed off after an argument with this group of Methodists at a revival meeting. And the reason that he got grumpy was because they had been talking about giants, which are cited in Genesis 6:4. So they talk about the Bible. So, they talk about how giants inhabited the earth. And
I'm not church. I don't know.
I'm also not church. He is a funny atheist, and so he makes a giant.
He's a funny atheist.
And how he makes this, he purchases a giant block of gypsum. Ooh, I'm also not a geologist.
I have gypsum at home. I have a big rock collection from my dad that he gave me that has protective stones.
Well, here's the deal. You could make a mini Cardiff Giant, a Cardiff mini guy.
Oh, shit.
So he hires a stone carver to make it into this man, and he applies all these stains and probably slashes it with chains or something to age it. I don't know. I saw that on Joanna Gaines' show once. That's fine.
I'm so out of everything.
And
I'm old.
They eventually ship it off to the farm where it was discovered by railroad. I'm assuming it was buried at some point, but it was discovered nearly a year later when they were digging the well. So all of this goes to court, and eventually both of the giants were discovered to be fakes. P.T. Barnum was released from any liability for creating the fake and then calling the original fake. Yeah. And the judge said that you can't be sued for calling a fake giant fake.
Oh, Lord.
Henry Johnson, we're back in Arkansas in 1880. Henry Johnson was inspired by the Cardiff Giant, but how did he get all the other necessary pieces together to create such an elaborate scam? He had a lot of connections, and he had a lot of money because he was a really successful merchant back in Pope County. So it seems like from historic records that Johnson, Hallam, and Campbell were all connected by mutual friends and or business partners in Pope and Johnson counties. So the landowner, J.C. Hallam, the guy from Texas, he had stayed in the same boarding house as Henry Johnson when they arrived in Eureka Springs. So they met that way. And then Thomas Campbell, who mysteriously found the baby, he, remember, had been sick. So he comes back after this mysterious 4 or whatever day sickness and immediately finds this baby in this hole he had been digging, which is a little suspicious. But he...
Suspicious.
Yeah. He does swear in some...
I bet he does, just like I do.
Well, he gets it signed by a notary, which I didn't know was a thing.
They had notaries back then?
I guess. He swore to a notary that he had been working alone when he found the baby and named 4 men who could attest to his honesty. Get this. One of those men was the business partner of Henry Johnson.
No.
So they're all in cahoots.
Yep.
Henry Johnson was also related to a Marcus Lafayette Kelly, who was a Fayetteville tombstone carver who apparently
Sounds like my guy.
created the baby.
Created the baby.
He made,
I was about to say, it does look like it's carved out of stone.
Yeah.
Like straight up
Yeah.
stone.
It is.
If that's it.
And he carved this baby. It was 26 inches long out of a block of white marble, and then aged it with a mixture of clay, ashes, charcoal, dirt, and stuff, which gave it its unique color, made it look antique. Henry Johnson then had the baby transported to Eureka Springs in a wagon, and then he staged it in this hole that they were digging for the well. Yeah.
Are you telling me this is fake?
Yes.
After bringing me through all these emotions, you're telling me it's fake?
Yes.
And I drank the drink first. That's fucked.
So, like some of our legends are, maybe based in truth.
Because Arkansas needs money.
That's what we're learning. So, anyway, the baby, it's not real.
My feelings.
It's a hoax.
Okay. I'll accept.
Some of our other stories left me with a feeling of hope, like maybe there's something mysterious and exciting in this world.
Not this one.
Yeah, this one makes me feel sad.
This one makes me realize that Arkansas's full of a bunch of dicks.
It makes me think of like all of the other things we've seen, like the White River Monster and the Gowra, where
everyone made a profit.
Yeah, they're trying to capitalize on it.
We poor here.
Well, but
so,
it makes me wonder, like, what if it's all just bullshit? And that makes me sad.
But that makes me wonder about the people who have seen things.
Yeah.
Because
just not this thing.
Like the Ozark Howler, there has been some like more recent-ish reports. However, one was like a hoax, and they sent in pictures, and I sent those to you, like show them. But it's just like some people are avid hikers or whatever, who people live out there, have seen something.
Yeah.
It's like those people give me hope. Like I didn't give up on Lucy Dog. I'm not gonna give up on those fucking.
I give up on the Eureka Spring baby.
Yeah, I do give up on that one though, because fuck that.
But I'm open to another baby if we find one.
I'm open to that drink again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if this story made you sad because it was all a lie.
It was all a lie.
Well, the story is true, but the baby was a lie. So, yeah, make sure that you're subscribed because sometimes we talk about stuff that is more happy in the end, maybe.
And fun and real.
Yeah. Real, maybe. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But yeah, let us know if you've heard about the Eureka Baby or any of the other mysterious baby carvings.
Let us know if you've heard of fucking anything that we haven't heard of.
Because we don't know anything. Alrighty.
We're not science, we're not church, we don't know shit.
That's true. That's true. Alrighty, bye.
Bye.
Gives me a little stir. You're looking a little. Bleh. Gotta finish mine.
So good. Like, every drink has been like, I mean, the White River Monster, I'm just gonna say, like, I was ready to just like.
I set the bar high. Yeah.
But from the get-go, just saying, that shit was divine. I hate my sister so much because I love your eyebrows so much.